On this high table, we have the chairperson of the campaign management team for Julius Kanuabah and the associate of the Press Union of Liberia leadership. And right on my left, my immediate left is the campaign chair is Mr. VENMO Zabe. All of you who are not familiar with his name. He's a top media practitioner, and he has been leading this process on behalf of Team Kanuabah. On my left is Mr. D. Clark, happens to be the Secretary General on the campaign team. And Mr. Clark is also a top media practitioner and media analyst at the Bureau of the Commission, and we are all top members of the Press Union of Liberia. And in the middle is our leader, the leader of Team Kanuabah, Mr. Julius Kanuabah III. We thought to call the press here today so that our team can officially respond to the verdict coming out of Banga from the trial court that probably some of you may have been following the news. So it's a pleasure that you are here, and we go right to Mr. Julius Kanuabah, who will read out our official response, and afterwards we will take a few questions from the press. Thank you. Mr. Kanuabah. Okay, the chair.
Thank you, Tatus, and gentlemen of the media, of the press. I want to thank you, like we heard Tatus say, and to all of you out there in Radio Land, I want to thank you for your patience, your understanding. You followed us. We've kept you abreast since we started this process. Like we heard Tatus say, we've called you here today to inform the public regarding the ruling from the 9th Judicial Circuit in Bangabong County. This is a battle that we undertook, not on behalf of ourselves, but on behalf of the larger 10 pushers. All of you out there, media practitioners, you followed us. We were stigmatized, we were abused, we were castigated, but we stood together firmly as a team because we wanted to ensure the redemption, the integrity of the Press Union, the lost image of the Press Union. So we want to again thank all of our supporters. That will be mentioned, but we just want to say in passing, to all of our supporters, you have been the fulcrum of what we have achieved thus far. And the interest you have taken is just beyond imagination, and I want to express our gratitude to all of you who have taken interest to come. And now we'll give chance to Mr. Julius Kanuabah, who will read the official statement from our campaign team.
Thank you very much, Chair Zabe. Our campaign team, like Tatus said, Chairman Clark, and then Mr. Tatus Tupa. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the press and our fellow comrade leaders. We are excited to have you here today, and it's always a pleasure seeing all of you. As we begin this press conference, we would like first to applaud journalists, media practitioners, and communication professionals for the incredible services you continue to deliver to the people of Liberia. Your work have and continues to enhance political stability and democratic development in Liberia. This press conference aims to present our official response to the ruling of the trial court in Bangabong County. The ruling was delivered on June 18, 2024, exactly 18 months or 1 year, 6 months sends our team, that's the National Campaign Management Team of Julius Kanuabah and BRKCA for the PUL leadership, filed a petition of declaratory judgment, along with a petition for preliminary injunction before the judge of the 9th Judicial Circuit Court in Banga, Bon County. The petition for declaratory judgment was filed asking the judge to declare our rights in the wake of substantial violations of the PUL Constitution by the outgoing leadership of Charles Coffey, the Committee on Membership, the Ad Hoc Congress Committee, and the Ad Hoc Congress Subcommittee on Elections and Inauguration. The violations by the Coffey leadership amounted essentially to membership registration fraud designed and orchestrated with the sole aim to steal the PUL leadership even before the Congress and subsequent elections. This, we believe, was disingenuous and an assault on the fundamental core of the democratic foundation and moral standing of the PUL. While our petition for declaratory judgment was yet to be legally heard and determined by the court in keeping with law, we all saw for ourselves how the SY Coffey leadership fought to hijack the PUL leadership by staging a midnight election from 7:30 p.m. on Saturday, November 19, 2022 to 3:40 a.m. on Sunday, November 20, 2022, employing all kinds of extra legal means. This was a sham, mock electoral exercise that will forever be recorded in the history of our union. As you may be aware, between the staging of the sham electoral exercise and up to June 18, 2024, ruling of the trial courts, we have fully been engaged with the legal processes aiming to bring justice by ensuring that the SY Coffey leadership is held accountable and that the legitimate full membership of the PUL be allowed to freely choose their leaders as must be in any democratic institution. Pursuing this legal process has not been an easy journey, as the SY Coffey leadership employed various tactics to sidestep the rule of law by attempting to inaugurate an illegitimate leadership produced by means of fraud. For example, the SY Coffey leadership refused to listen to the pieces of advice of prominent and respected media professionals such as Jonathan Pelele, Aaron Colley, and Coffey's own independent media stakeholders committee chaired by Professor Wede Cooper Bowling and comprising the revered Kenneth Wabest, Melissa Anna, Tia Doma, Maureen C., Martin Brown, Urias Tuga, and A. Treconta. Even the salient advice by the knowledgeable Supreme Court Associate Justice Yusuf D. Kabal was disrespected and ignored by Coffey and his allies, who were bent on insisting on the installation of an illegitimate leadership. The SY Coffey leadership nearly succeeded in installing an illegitimate leadership after the late Joseph Nangwe, Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, peace be to his ashes, controversially employed extra legal means, asking the circuit judge to vacate or stay order legally imposed to prevent Coffey and his allies from adopting their fraudulently elected leadership, while our petition for declaratory judgment was still before the court for hearing and adjudication. This was why we challenged the controversial mandate by Justice Nangwe before the full bench of the Supreme Court. Thankfully, after nearly a year of receiving or a year of deliberating our Bill of Information challenging Justice Nangwe, on December 19, 2023, 3 of the 5 Supreme Court justices under the partial leadership of the Chief Justice, rendered a landmark ruling reversing the mandate of Justice Nangwe. In that unanimous ruling, Associate Justice Yusuf D. Kaba, Associate Justice James Eto Howard Wolokoli, and Chief Justice Sianenyo stated that their colleague, Joseph Nangwe, was in error not to have given us due process to have chosen to reverse the lower court stay order. This was a significant and consequential ruling, and we remain eternally grateful to the Chief Justice, Associate Justice Wolokoli, and Associate Justice Kaba for saving the integrity of the PUL from fraudsters. It is in this respect that we strongly disagree with the former leadership of CashAPP, Daniel Yankuna, Musa Kenin, Akwebesa, and Team Daniel and Betty Mbayo and Julius Kanuabah, who together stated that the Supreme Court had relied on outdated law in rendering us justice and preventing them from hijacking power. Besides the legal processes, we should report that we attended all mediation efforts, both by local and international partners of the PUL. These included the mediation by the Independent Media Stakeholders Committee, the mediation by the U.S. government autonomous agency, the USARD, along with Internews, which is implementing a 5-year, $11 million USARD media activity in Liberia. The mediation by the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas. The mediation by Mr. John O. Colley of the Liberia Media for Democratic Initiatives. And the mediation by a group of former leaders of the Press Union of Liberia, convened by Peter Kokwe and led by James C. Dennis Sr. In all of these mediation efforts, our team, inclusive of our legal counsel, cooperated fully and advanced the best way forward for the PUL, inclusive of an out-of-court settlement where legally possible. However, Kofi and his allies, as represented by Daniel Yankuna and Akwebesa, refused all proposals put forth on the table, such as the conduct of fresh elections or rerun, the establishment of an interim leadership, the creation of a technical secretariat to run the project activities of the PUL. In one mediation, the proposal for a fresh election was conditioned on the installation of a ceremonial leadership of the two candidates for the positions of Secretary General and Assistant Secretary General, that is Akwebesa and Julius Kanuabah, who had registered on the post and participated in the Banga sham electoral exercise. While the details of the proposal were being discussed, Daniel Yankuna and Akwebesa pulled out of the process. The last mediation efforts by former leaders of the PUL were proceeding and reached a critical stage whereby the former leaders were ready to release their findings and proposals to parties in the PUL dispute. To our knowledge, 2 meetings were called for the release of the findings and proposal for the way forward by the former leaders. Yet, on 2 occasions, Team Daniel Yankuna and Betty Mbayo Johnson, or Betty Johnson Mbayo, refused to turn up, despite agreeing to attend a joint meeting with us. Having apparently learned of the findings and proposals for the way forward, Yankuna announced on behalf of himself and 2 of his team members, Betty Mbayo and Julius Kanuabah, that they had decided to jump the ship by stating that they were backing off from all processes, including participating in future elections. However, the other team member of Team Daniel, Mbayo Akwebesa, was announced as acting president, even though his tenure has long since expired in November 2022. The Kokwe initiated and James Dennis led mediation team held at least 5 impressive meetings with us at various locations to chart a way forward, including a possible withdrawal of the case from court in the wake of Daniel's announcement. Legally, the possibility of withdrawal closed the very week Daniel chose to announce they are backing off, as the judge has had given the disputing parties a pre-trial conference dispensation between the 16th and 26th of February 2024. During this pre-trial conference, our legal team contacted the lawyer of Kofi and his allies for possible discussion on the way forward. Our approach did not yield any result, however. Considering the above background, it was in this context that, having been mandated by the Supreme Court to resume jurisdiction and proceed in keeping with law, that the trial court informed us of the legal proceedings into the petition for declaratory judgment. Between January 2024 and June 18, 2024, we attended various court sessions as assigned by the trial judge, traveling between Monrovia and Banga, Brown County. As part of this process, our lawyers filed a motion for summary judgment, which has formally been ruled on by the trial judge. Now, as we said in the beginning, we've called you to present our official response. Now, here is what we think of the judge's ruling. We believe that the ruling of the trial court is a victory for integrity in the PUL, as it sets a powerful legal precedent that will live for generations of journalists, media and communication professionals. This is because what lies at the heart of our case is at the core foundation of our organization, the PUL: ethics and integrity. We are of the view that the ruling sends unequivocal message that electoral fraud in the PUL through manipulations of membership registration is an abomination and a repugnant act, and that upholding the PUL constitution, and a repugnant act. The ruling demonstrates that no one entrusted with leadership roles in the PUL is above the law, and that upholding the PUL constitution is a sine qua non. Team Kanuabah's case has averted the single biggest fraud in the nearly 60 years history of the PUL. By averting this massive fraud through a meticulously pursued legal process for a period of 1 year, 6 months, we have worked to ensure that the integral legacy of the Staton Peabody institution, that is the PUL, is protected. Staton, one of the founding members of the PUL, on whose image the PUL exists, is proud in his present place of internal rest that, as the analyst newspaper rightly reported on June 20, 2024, PUL restoration is on our way. The ruling has prevented the hijacking of power through acts of fraud, which were supported by some nefarious actors, both inside and outside the media. One of those sponsors of fraud in the PUL is a known internationally sanctioned pariah. Significantly, the ruling mandates the constitution of an 11-member committee comprising 7 former presidents of the PUL and 4 media editors to take charge of the union and conduct a rerun of the PUL 2022 elections. Team Kanuabah supports and calls for the scrupulous implementation of the ruling of the trial court so that a democratically legitimate leadership is elected and installed at the PUL on or before October 18 this year. We applaud the judge of the 9th Judicial Circuit Court, His Honor J. Wema Konto, for the ground-breaking ruling. The judge's ruling builds on the ruling of the Supreme Court of Liberia of December 19, 2023. In that ruling, the Supreme Court mandated the judge to resume jurisdiction and proceed in keeping with law after reversing a controversial mandate by the peer, Associate Justice Joseph Nange. The ruling, we believe, presents a turning point to usher the PUL into a new era of reform and democratic accountability. This new era of reform and democratic accountability definitely creates a path to regain the lost image of the PUL, which has been tainted by the 2022 fraudulent electoral process. Team Kanuabah remains committed to steering this new era of reform and accountability. Team Kanuabah is deliberate about its mission to lead a PUL that develops strategies for short, medium, and long-lasting stability of journalism in the age of falling media revenue. We believe our plans are best suited to improve the quality of journalism to keep our democracy in Liberia flourishing. Team Kanuabah is here to redeem, reform, and develop the PUL into a 21st century professional integrity entity guided by 6 pillars of transformative change. 1, accountable leadership. 2, impartial advocacy. 3, construction of PUL headquarters. 4, support for women in journalism, media, and communication. 5, sustainable and inclusive media development. And 6, the formation of media hubs in our counties for our colleagues who are residing in the different counties of ours. Again, we extend our sincere thanks and appreciation to all members of the Press Union of Liberia, members of the journalism, media, and communication community, the government of Liberia, our local and international partners, and the public at large for the support and interest in the Press Union of Liberia. As we continue this journey of redeeming, reforming, and developing the PUL, we remain committed to promoting and defending the rights of journalists, free speech and expression, and to the strengthening of greater democracy in Liberia, the rule of law, and economic development. May God continue to guide us and save the PUL and the Liberian state. Thank you very much, fellow colleagues and comrade leaders.
Guys, that was the voice of Honorable Kanuabah, presidential candidate for the PUL election in Liberia. I'm Francis Kedikopo coming to you live. Keep following Liberia TV Network, also bring a live coverage.
The rulers from Banga, we now open it up for questions that we have. So what we'll do, we call your name and the name of the institution and ask a question. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Pierre Soyu. I write for the New Republic newspaper. Now that the PUL Saga has been out of the court, heading towards the French elections, someone will think that since the case is out, Team Kanuabah, or particularly Julius Kanuabah, should stay away from the process and let go the PUL instead of the PUL now going into another form of saga. Don't you think it's decisive of your part to stay off the process now that you are fought and that the case is out of the court and going to the French elections?
Okay, thank you very much for the question, Terry. Well, we have the Press Union is a professional membership organization. The judge ruled that the process should be followed now the Constitution of the Union. The ruling did not bar anyone from participating. And those who are pushing this logic that Team Kanuabah should back off from the process. So I'm not too sure you want to punish us for fighting for the integrity of the PUL. We have a vision, and we can only take over the PUL when the membership agrees. Anyone that is coming to the PUL can only take over the leadership when the membership agrees. So we remain in the process. We cannot back off because I mean the logic they've been pushing because the other fraudulent side has back off, so to speak, and they've been found to have been in violation of the Constitution. Also, we should withdraw. So it does not really fall in line with anyone to say back off. It is only the membership. The PUL, I can say Julius or Perry, we will not vote for you, right? So democracy is about the rule of law. People who fight for the rule of law must always be praised and commended, right? So I'm not too sure who is telling you that, but I mean we are very clear. The president will have to have a democratic, legitimate leadership, and that leadership can only be produced by the full membership of the union, right? So the idea of backing off is out of the picture.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Francis Kedikopa, report for the Liberal TV network. Today you have come to a conclusion wherein the PUL will definitely be going to another election. Assuming that your team decides to go to the election and you are not victorious in said election, what would be the outcome from your
always
team?
said that when the membership of the Press Union of Liberia decides democratically, we will be the first to either endorse or congratulate the person who will win the elections. So anyone for that matter. And we said it in 2022, right? We said conduct a credible electoral process. If we don't win, we will congratulate any of the winners, right? I participated in the 2009 elections in the Press Union. While I was abroad in the United States, right? I got elected. Others did not get elected, right? They did not get elected, and they accepted the results. So anyone who is elected democratically at the union, you get our congratulations, including us. So that is not something that we can debate, right? Because the Press Union Constitution calls for the promotion of greater democracy. In losing an elections democratically and accepting the results is critical to promote greater democracy. So we are willing at any time, but with the majority support that we have, with the support of the membership, we believe that we can win anyone in the Press Union elections with the support of the membership. It's not something to boast of, right? It's only the membership that can decide.
ABC Radio.
My name is Anthony from ABC Radio. The process leading to today created somehow division into the Press Union by the union. You are aware. Now, the Press Union will go for election in 3 months or so. You still remain in the race. Considering that you win the process, there is division. Are you concerned about the division? How do you intend to unify the Press Union?
The issue of division in the union, I don't want to overemphasize it because sometimes we can create artificial division in the PUL, right? The union is not divided. It's not divided in the sense that this was a major case against a small group of people who are also members of the union, right? We did not take any of Kofi's supporter or Daniel's supporters to court. We took the former leadership in the different committees that had a responsibility to upholding the constitution of the union with respect to the conduct of Congress and the conduct of elections. So those are the people we've been in tension with. And some of us, we can sometimes take conflicts or legal processes to be like a major dispute, right? But it's about protecting the integrity of the union. So we believe the issue of, some people are preaching the logic of reconciliation. What is there to reconcile, or what is there that has divided us, right? We are divided on the basis of one thing, to produce a credible membership register. I'm sure all of you would agree that it is required that before we go to elections, those who are eligible, they should be known. Those who are not eligible should be known. So anyone that agrees with that, if you are in conflict with us and you call that division, then you want to pad your law because you want to steal leadership, then we'll be in contest with you. But we are not in any conflict with anyone. What we wanted is for the integrity of the institution to be protected, right? And your question is relevant also because some media leaders have asked, for example, how can the Press Union be brought back together, right? One thing that can bring the Press Union together is in elections, right? When we conduct elections, the leadership that will be produced, and that election is credible, there will be no tension in the union, right? Because the guys on the other side wanted to inaugurate themselves. By that time, when they got the mandate from the late Associate Justice, they were celebrating. They never called for reconciliation. When we win our case, they say, oh no, division in the union. We are not in conflict with any journalist, right? We're not in conflict, right? I mean, the guys on the other side, we disagree on several things. And in the Press Union, there will always be elections in the PUL. People will take their side. The only thing we call for, respect each other, follow the ethics, the core conduct of the Constitution, the core conduct of the Press Union of Liberia. Because if you follow the ethics, the issue of attempting to steal elections through fraud or manipulation of the membership register, there will be no tension. So anyone, I'm sure some of you are not friends of criminals, right? You can't be saying that because you're a criminal, and we want to reconcile with you, so we should allow you to go, for you to be stealing in the community. In 2019, the same thing happened in the Press Union. They created the same division that we talked about, right? I think in 2019, you guys are aware. There was a group that was formed, right? All of us, we took a position. And for us, we believe that the Press Union of Liberia cannot be split into separate groups. That's why we pursued this case through the rule of law. So the unity of the union will be ensured under any leadership, whether us or another person. The Press Union is a small community of journalists, and all of us, we almost like know each other, right? So unity in the union is critical, but what is there that has divided us is the issue of fraud, right? So once the fraud has been dealt with by the court, it means that the union will come back together. So we are hoping that everyone in the union, especially those who are on the other side of the debate, can be able to come together. The integrity of the union should be protected. Yes.
We'll take the last two questions.
In addition to that, we think that it was a created perception that there's a division. Because if there were a division in a union, some of the activities that the other group organized as sporting activities, you wouldn't have seen members from outside joining with them to play. So it's just a perception that, because we disagree on a particular issue, so there's a division. No. The issue has been dealt with.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Wise and Williams, and I report for LB Online Television. Tribute to you, Mr. Julius Kanuabah. How committed is you when it comes to your 5 pillars in the growth and development of the Press Union of Liberia?
Well, if the six pillars, right? The 6 pillars are our agenda for reform, redeeming, and developing the PUL. And we are very committed, right? And for us, when we talk about accountable leadership, for example, right? We pursue the case to ensure accountability at the Press Union of Liberia. The financial system of the Press Union will have to be improved. The union will have to be accountable. For example, the corporate leadership, before going to Congress for the Constitution, needed to submit financial and narrative report 1 or 2 weeks before Congress. They failed to do that, right? So the issue of accountable leadership, I think the membership can trust us, because when we pursue a matter, we will find a logical conclusion to that particular matter, right? So for us, we are committed to this particular agenda. We believe we can form different media hubs in the counties, for example, for our colleagues. It is a very simple process. The same way we have the Press Union headquarters in Europe, our colleagues, if you go to the different counties, for example, Bon County or Nimba, or even Maryland, right, or the Western region, Cape Mon, or Bomi, or Bakuli, journalists are there in many forms. They are practicing. So they too will have to benefit from the PUL. They too will have to have their own leadership. So we believe this agenda can be implemented. In our manifesto, we listed 32 different action points that we believe can be tackled by all of us collectively. Was Perry, Anthony, all of you, together we can work to develop the PUL further. So yes, we are committed to the agenda, and given these code processes, we observe a lot of things. So we'll be making some level of changes in the agenda. For instance, the issue of resolving leadership disputes, right? If you take, for example, who to intervene in the Press Union, the electoral dispute, for example. If you take a case against the sitting leaders or the incumbents, who to intervene? You don't have such or dispute mechanism in place, right? The enforcement of ethics in journalism, for example, who do we go to? If you go to the National Media Council, they tell you, hey, we are not there to investigate leadership dispute in the Press Union of Liberia or electoral dispute. So some of these things now will have to be embedded in the Press Union Constitution, but also in the strategies that all of us will craft and implement. So yes, we are committed to the 6-pillar agenda of accountable leadership, impartial advocacy, the construction of the PUL headquarters, support for women in journalism, media, and communication, sustainable and inclusive media development, and the formation of media hubs in the counties. That for us, we can compromise on it. There is an agreement with the membership that these things should be implemented at the PUL so that all of us, we can improve. For example, the issue of inclusive media development. I mean, the take-home salaries of journalists, it will have to be discussed. The collective bargaining agreement will have to be brought back. We have to discuss with the media managers, the owners, the reporters, the everyday workers of the media, so that we will be able to move on, including both our local and international partners. If not, our condition will remain the same. And sometimes, you know, the only place we can feel like, you know, we are happy is on social events. But the take-home salary of journalists is very important. So yes, we are committed.
Follow up to that quickly.
Okay, F.
That's okay. That's
Okay, F.
Thank you, sir. My name is Darius Kanga, and we both are OKF. With all these recommendations made by the team, especially you, for the success of our noble union, if not taken into those consideration, what do you foresee? And secondly, and I listened to you keenly, you talk about the alleged involvement of the former government official to the Saga. For the sake of the public, do you care to just...
No, we did not say former government official, we said some nefarious actors, right?
Sanction
Inside and outside.
Sanction.
Yeah.
Do you care to
So,
just call it?
yeah. So we are very clear, right? Those actors, they know themselves. Some of you already know them, right? So we don't have to repeat. And what we said during the debate, we not give anyone any relevance by focusing our campaign on it. We took a specific campaign issue, and we've been able to pursue and successfully, right? Successfully we pursue that particular matter. So you know some of the sanction officials, right? You know them, and you know who was involved. Some of them, they took telephone, started calling some of you, right? Yeah. But you know them. I mean, that was
The follow-up.
So
The follow-up.
So I mean, you
first question.
you asked the other point. Some of the things that we said, what happens if they're not taken into consideration? Well, we have an active team that is in place, working to ensure that the ruling of the judge that he said is what? Scrupulously implemented. In the next coming days, our team will be exploring all opportunities to meet people who are involved in the mediation efforts, right? So that the Press Union can move forward. Yeah, but it will be implemented because a legal ruling is something that you can compromise. Yeah, because any mistake by any of us, whether you, myself, or anyone else, this matter will not be, finished. But we trust the mediators that were working with all sides in this particular case. We trust them, and we hope, like we said, we hope they can step in immediately, right, to bring all of us back together. Because like we said, us too, we can take over the PUL undemocratically. It is only through the elections, and we trust people with the moral authority, the moral guardianship, can be able to guide us. I think we name a committee that was constituted by Mr. Coffee, right? We name members of the committee. We name the former leaders who have been mediating. So we trust that as some of the key stakeholders in the Press Union, the elders, will come together between now and any time this week or next week, so that we can be able to take the next steps and we can be able to discuss with them about the ruling. So it will be important. Somebody wanted to make a follow-up.
Yeah, the follow-up. The follow-up is, you talk about accountability and credibility of the institution. One key factor that interplay at the December election of PUL, the issue of the do with the membership. The issue of membership is in three categories: full member, associate, and that of affiliate. How do you intend to tackle the issue of membership in order not to experience what happened in the December election?
And this was at the heart of our case, and it remains. The court said the Press Union must implement the issue of membership registration in line with Article 10, Section 7 of the Constitution. Besides that, if you go to Article 4, or the first few articles of the PUL Constitution, it defines the membership. I agree with you on the types of membership, I'll add one more. You have institutional membership, right? You have the full members, the associates, the affiliates, you have the institutional. So the membership registration is very simple to do. You introduce yourself, for example, right? Say your name is Perry, your last name is there. What position, for instance, do you hold? What's the title at the New Republic or at ABC Radio? Put your title, you put the institution, and the constitution says, etc. Right? So we're in fact asking, why can't we say, since the constitution says, etc., put a county. Where does Perry live or practice journalism? Is it Montserrat, Grand Bassa, or Nimba? Right? That way is very simple. And we presented this proposal to them. I mean, those of you who know about Excel or Microsoft Word, we give an example. And the Press Union has had elections before on a similar structure. It is constitutional, right? But the other guys on the other side, they said no. Because they knew by this aggregating or producing the membership register in our the constitution, we are going to identify the non-journalists and journalists who are journalists but are not eligible to vote in the Press Union elections. Because like we said, Perry, only 4 members have the right to vote. And the constitution says that to be a full member, first, you must either have a degree in journalism, media, communication. You practice what? 2 years. If you don't have a degree in communication, media, or journalism, you have a degree, for instance, in fraud, right? Fraud. The same fraud that we're in the tackling. You have a degree in fraud. The constitution says you should practice for what? 3 years. The other point, if you don't have a degree in media, journalism, or communication, or any other field, you practice for what? 5 years. So most likely, many of us can practice for 5 years, but some of us will not reach that criteria, right? And this has been the foundation of the PUL. Because you don't want infiltration. You don't want people who are not eligible to produce a president or to produce a leadership. And this was at the heart of our case. We said for us to be elected, the eligible members, the full members, must be on that list. And some of you saw that our high school students, right, was voting in the presidential elections. So it's an assault and an affront to the Constitution. It's an insult to you. And you took your time. You practiced for 5 years. And practicing for 5 years also, when I told you about the institutional membership, you must practice with an accredited and recognized media entity. So sometimes too, I know in Liberia now, like many parts of the world, some will come with Julius TV, Julius TV. Are you accredited? Are you recognized? So the Press Union will have to reform itself, implement the Constitution. Because somebody lying in a village will say, I've been using my telephone for the last 5 years, and I want to be a journalist. Or I am a full member of the PU, or I am eligible. How do we know? I think the LTA published in the names of some institutions, for example, yes, right? Yes. It's an issue that all of us will have to read down to discuss. I mean, it said that the money that the LTA is requesting is too much, because it's troubling that many media entities are on the list. Even the state-owned Liberia broadcasting system, where some of us work. So it shocked us, right? And we have to discuss, because without you being an accredited institution, a recognized institution, then your journalists who are there working, or people who are there working, might not be eligible to register in the Press Union, right? So that's why it's good to work for a recognized and accredited institution. It is intended for the society to be stronger, because without rules, anyone can infiltrate. And then if something happens, you say, oh, but this guy is now a journalist. How do we know? It is through the membership of the PUL. So yes, being an associate membership of the PUL is now a crown. Myself, I can present to you my 2004 undergrad. But many of us now who are practicing, well, we don't have associate membership. The first thing we want, the full membership. If you ask the guys who left power, where is the list of the associate members? They refuse to share it with us. Or they don't just have it. So the idea is, when you're an associate member, you can attend Congress. The only thing is, you can vote. And what does it mean if you're not eligible to vote? You wait for your time, right? It took us 5 years, right? I mean, Tatos is there, every plan is there. By that time, I mean, I was seeing veteran, remote survey, they were voting, we're not voting. So the idea is for the union to have some safeguards that not everyone can decide. Even public relations officers, right? Some can vote, it can be voted for. If you read the Constitution again, there is a specific issue about them. So all of these things now we have to address it as media community, so that what happened in the union, wherein people going to court on membership issues, it was very simple. And we repeatedly inform these guys, do the right thing. Article 10, Section 7. And that is in the ruling of the court. So it is a precedent now, right? That before you go to any Congress, Press Union, produce your membership register. Most of the consultations that we did with different actors, people, I mean, many of you also, you said you want the Press Union to be like what? The Liberia National Bar Association, right? Although the Press Union can be like the bar, our team will raise the bar of the PUL, right? Because the bar, they enforce their rules, their laws, and their ethics. Any mistake by any lawyer will be investigated before the ethics committee. If they are not eligible to receive, for instance, an Antonia lawyer, the first thing you should go to the Louis Arthur School of Law. I mean, Chairman, how I pronounce that word properly. Yeah, because you always correct us, right? You have to go to that law school. And before you go to law school, you have to have what? Bachelor. So imagine now. So you see the criteria before you practice law in Nigeria. You go to a university first, go to a law school, which is part of the university, and then when you graduate, you are admitted into Antonia law. Before again, it will take another 5 years again before you go cancel that law. So if possible, you went to school, you obtained bachelor for 4 years. You went to the law school, you obtained a bachelor for 4 years. 4 plus 4, 8. 8 plus 5. I think you know the numbers. So you see how these processes are followed. That's why sometimes all of us, we can praise the legal profession. They have their own issues, right? The same way we are complaining, they have their own complaints. But on elections in the Bar Association, you can see how transparent it is. They publish you, and whether you have a license. If you don't have a license, meaning you gotta go to the membership, you declare everything. But again, when we bring it to the president, some people say, oh no, let's go have any election, then we'll reconcile. The president is a professional body, right? The president is one of the largest and integrity-oriented civil society organizations in the country. If you compromise the integrity of the PUL, you're compromising democracy in Liberia. And what? You are also compromising the future of many young journalists or those who are aspiring to be journalists. So yes, we'll ensure that the membership register is produced in line with the Constitution. That there's no question about it now. This court has already ruled. Supreme Court said you can't have deduction until that case is heard. The case, per our understanding, we are moving forward.
So guys, thank you. That was the voice of
Okay, sir.
Honorable Julius Kanuabah from the Liberia Press
Thank you very
Union.
much.